Cyber Threat Brief for February 16, 2026. Google patched Chrome's first zero day of 2026, CVE 2026-2441, a use after free in CSS handling already exploited in the wild. Push browser updates now. Click fix attacks evolved again with a DNS-based variant using ENS-lookup to stage PowerShell payloads via attacker-controlled name servers. Shiny hunters leaked 600K Canada Goose customer records, and researchers found Bitwarden, LastPass, and Dashlane all fail their zero-knowledge encryption promises under server compromise scenarios. Here's the full breakdown of today's top security stories. Next section, critical alerts. Google Chrome zero-day actively exploited, CVE 2026-2441. Google released an emergency Chrome update to fix CVE 2026-2441, a high-severity CVSS, the common vulnerability scoring system, 8.8, use after free in Chrome's CSS handling that allows remote code execution inside the browser sandbox via a crafted HTML page. Attackers were exploiting this vulnerability in the wild before a fix was available. Security researcher Shaheen Fazim reported the flaw on February 11, and Google confirmed active exploitation 2 days later. EPS, the exploit prediction scoring system, is currently 0.000 8th percentile, likely lagging behind the confirmed wild exploitation. Fixed versions: 145.0.7632.75 for Windows/Mac, 144.0.7559.75 for Linux. Action: force Chrome updates to 145.0.7632.75 plus Windows/Mac, or 144.0.7559.75 plus Linux via group policy or Chrome Enterprise Management. Verify update status at Chrome/version across all managed endpoints. Do not wait for automatic rollout given active exploitation. This is Chrome's first zero day of 2026. Source: The Register. Next section, vulnerability disclosures. Windows 11 KB 5,077,181 fixes boot failures from failed update rollbacks. Microsoft resolved a Windows 11 bug that caused commercial devices running 25H2 and 24H2 to fail with unmountable boot volume errors after installing the January 2026 security update KB 5,074,109. The root cause was the December 2025 update failing to install and rolling back improperly, leaving devices in a state where subsequent updates made systems unbootable. The fix shipped in the February 2026 Patch Tuesday update KB 5,077,181. Devices that became unbootable before the fix still require manual remediation. Virtual machines and home editions were not affected. Action: deploy KB 5,077,181 to all Windows 11 24H2/25H2 commercial devices. For systems already unbootable, contact Microsoft Support for Business for recovery assistance. Source: Bleeping Computer. Password managers fail zero-knowledge encryption promises under server compromise. Researchers from ETH Zurich and USI tested the zero-knowledge encryption claims of Bitwarden, LastPass, and Dashlane using a malicious server model. All three exposed passwords when servers were compromised. Bitwarden was most vulnerable with 12 working attacks, 7 leading to password disclosure. LastPass had 7 attacks, 3 disclosures. Dashlane had 6, 1 disclosure. Most attacks required only routine user actions, logging in, opening the vault, or syncing data. None of the vendors clearly define the threat model their encryption protects against. The researchers note password managers have received far less academic scrutiny than E2E encrypted messaging apps, despite complex codebases with features like credential sharing and backward compatibility with older encryption standards. Action. No immediate patch action required. Be aware that password manager server compromise is a more viable attack path than vendors communicate. Use hardware security keys for critical accounts. Monitor vendor responses for cryptographic upgrades. Source: the register. Next section, ransomware and extortion. BridgePay ransomware attack disrupts government payment services. Nationwide payment service provider BridgePay, which processes transactions for local governments and utilities across the U.S., has been offline since February 6 due to a ransomware attack. Restoration could take at least another week. BridgePay says payment information was not compromised, but has not determined the full scope. Some municipalities like Frisco, Texas suspended shutoffs and late fees. Others have not offered similar relief. Action: if your organization uses BridgePay, verify impact to payment workflows and communicate alternative payment options. Monitor BridgePay updates for breach scope clarification. Source: the register. Fake ransomware group 0APT exposed as complete fabrication. GuidePoint Security determined that the ransomware group 0APT, which claimed over 200 victims in a single week, fabricated its entire operation. Claimed victims had names like Metropolis City Municipal, and high-profile companies listed on the group's leak site found no evidence of intrusion. The scam likely aims to sell fake RAS tools to other criminals or trick organizations into paying ransoms out of fear. Action: if 0APT claims to have hit your organization, do not panic pay. Review logs for actual indicators of compromise, but treat the claim with skepticism. Source: the register. Shiny Hunters leaks 600K Canada Goose customer records. Shiny Hunters published a 167 GB dataset containing 600,000 plus Canada Goose customer records in JSON format, including names, emails, phone numbers, billing/shipping addresses, IP addresses, order histories, partial payment card data, last 4 digits, BIN in some cases, and device/browser metadata. Canada Goose says it found no evidence of a direct breach of its systems and believes the data relates to past transactions, possibly from a third-party payment processor breach in August 2025. The dataset schema closely resembles e-commerce checkout exports from hosted storefront platforms. Action: organizations using third-party payment processors should verify their vendor's breach disclosure status. The exposed BINs and partial card numbers combined with personal data create high-quality phishing material. Shiny Hunters has been linked to recent SSO and cloud targeting phishing campaigns. Source: Bleeping Computer. LVMH brands fined $25M in South Korea after scattered spider/lapsus breaches. Dior, Louis Vuitton, and Tiffany were fined $25 million in South Korea after scattered lapsus hunters targeted their Salesforce instances, leading to data breaches. This highlights ongoing risk for organizations relying on SaaS platforms targeted by social engineering groups. Source: Security Week. Next section, business and infrastructure threats. ClickFix attack now uses DNS queries for payload delivery. Microsoft disclosed a new ClickFix variant that uses nslookup against attacker-controlled DNS servers to retrieve and execute PowerShell payloads. Victims are tricked into running a command via the Windows Run dialog that queries an external name server at 84.21. 189.20 parses the DNS name response and pipes it into CMD. EXE. The second stage downloads a ZIP containing a Python runtime and malicious scripts that perform domain reconnaissance and establish persistence via %appdata %WPY64-31401 script. VBS and a %startup %monitoring service. LNK shortcut. The final payload is Modilo RAT, a remote access Trojan. Using DNS as a staging channel lets attackers modify payloads dynamically while blending into normal network traffic. Separately, attackers have begun using shared ChatGPT Grok, and Claude artifact pages as click-fix lure platforms. Action: monitor for anomalous ENS-lookup commands targeting non-default external DNS servers, especially from CMD, exe, or the run dialog. Block 84.21, 189.20 at the firewall. Check startup folders for unexpected LNK files, monitoring service. LNK. Train users to never paste commands from external instructions into the run dialog. Sources: Bleeping Computer Security Week. 260K plus Chrome users hit by fake AI browser extensions. Over 30 copycat Chrome extensions impersonating legitimate AI tools tricked more than 260,000 users and bypassed Google's own review process. The extensions steal API keys, emails, and other sensitive data. Action: audit Chrome extensions across your environment. Enforce extension allow lists via Chrome Enterprise Policies or Group Policy. Remove unrecognized extensions claiming to be AI chatbots or assistants. Source: Dark reading. Open source registries financially unable to implement basic security. Alpha Omega's analysis of major open source registries. PyPI, NPM, Crates, EO, Ruby Gems, Maven Central, found all are financially stretched thin. Bandwidth is the top cost, 25%, followed by storage, 18%, compute, 15%, and malware fighting, 12%. Registries detected 845,000 malware packages from 2019 to January 2025, with NPM absorbing the majority. The median time to remove a malicious package is 39 hours, long enough for worm-style propagation like the Shai-Hulud NPM outbreak in September. Action: use dependency lock files and hash verification. Pin package versions. Consider private mirrors or caching proxies for critical dependencies. The supply chain risk from these registries is structural, not incidental. Source: The Register. Former L3 Harris executive sold 8 zero-day exploit kits to Russia. DOJ sentencing memorandum revealed that Peter Williams, former GM of L3 Harris's cyber subsidiary Trenchant, sold 8 zero-day exploit kits to a broker who regularly supplied the Russian government. Williams faces up to 9 years, $35 million restitution, and deportation to Australia. The DOJ said Williams' actions caused significant harm to U.S. national security and enabled exploitation against any manner of victim, civilian, or military. Source: The Register. Next section: General Security News. Zero-day RAT mobile spyware platform sold on Telegram. Verify disclosed a commercial mobile spyware platform called Zero-day RAT, sold on Telegram with dedicated sales and support channels. It targets Android 5-16 and iOS up to 26. Capabilities include real-time GPS tracking, live camera/microphone streaming, keylogging, SMS/OTP interception, defeating 2FA, account enumeration across Google/WhatsApp/Instagram/Amazon, and cryptocurrency wallet address swapping for financial theft. A bank stealer module targets Apple Pay, Google Pay, PayPal, and regional payment apps. This level of capability was previously limited to nation-state tools. Action: enforce MDM policies on corporate devices. Block sideloaded apps. Monitor for apps requesting excessive permissions. Educate employees about social engineering vectors used to deliver mobile spyware. Source: The Hacker News. 64-bit malware approaching 50-50 parity, with 32-bit SANS ISC analysis of 346,985 PE samples from Malware Bazaar. 2020-2026 shows 64-bit malware approaching 50% of samples in the last 30 days, up from 11% overall. 32-bit code historically dominated because it runs on both architectures via WoW-W64. The shift toward 64-bit indicates threat actors are increasingly targeting modern systems directly and potentially evading 32-bit focused analysis tools. Action: Ensure sandboxes and reverse engineering environments include 64-bit Windows builds. Update detection rules that may implicitly favor 32-bit PE analysis. Source: Sans ISK. Promptware kill chain framework proposed for LLM attacks. Researchers proposed a 7-step promptware kill chain to categorize attacks against LLM-based systems. Initial access, prompt injection, privilege escalation, jailbreaking, reconnaissance, context extraction, persistence, memory poisoning, execution, exfiltration, and impact. The framework highlights that LLMs process all input as undifferentiated tokens with no architectural boundary between trusted instructions and untrusted data. Source: Schneier on security. Android 17 beta strengthens secure by default privacy and app security. The latest Android beta continues hardening security and privacy defaults. Organizations deploying Android devices should track these changes for MDM policy alignment. Source: Security Week. That concludes today's cyber threat brief. From Carolina Clear Tech. Stay patched, stay vigilant.